This is Tuğba. Okay. Today, I will make a presentation about my graduation thesis. Let's start. My research topic is that service English teachers' perception of professional competence and their attitudes towards e-learning during the COVID-19 era. First of all, let me briefly talk about why I chose this topic. We all know that the COVID-19 era has brought about big changes in education. In particular, we as pre-service teachers have been greatly affected by this process, either positively or negatively. One of the issues that impressed me the most was that we completed our practicum period online. So in this process, I prepared my research by bringing two of the subjects that I was curious about. First of them is to find out if the pre-service English teachers are satisfied with online learning, and the second one is to find out their thoughts on their professional competence. So I started my research by starting with a literature review. Let's briefly talk about the literature review. There are a lot of research on distance education and e-learning, but you know that the pandemic is a new situation in our lives, so there are not many studies on this subject. In addition, there are many studies on professional competence, but studies that uses these two subjects together are limited. Since this part is very comprehensive, I will only talk about one research. Okay. In a study measuring the attitudes of pre-service teachers towards online education and learning during the COVID-19 process, how pre-service teachers mastered content knowledge during a term, their attitudes towards distance education, and pre-service teachers' relation with their tutors were examined. As a result of the research, it was stated that most of the pre-service teachers have knowledge of the course content, and their attitudes towards distance education is good and interesting, and it was concluded that pre-service teachers had good relations with their tutors. However, the most important points in this study that most of the pre-service teachers think that e-learning is effective despite some difficulties. Almost all participants think that get more efficiency from face-to-face education when it compared to distance education. And let's talk about my research. I have two research questions for this study. First of them, what are the attitudes of pre-service English teachers towards the e-learning method that continues throughout the pandemic process? And second one, what is the current professional competency perception level of pre-service English teachers as a result of the distance education they receive? And let's talk about the methodology part. The question that the current study aims to answer to determine the attitudes of pre-service English teachers, attitudes towards e-learning, and to what extent their professional competence are. So you know the most suitable method for this research question is quantitative research method. It's a research method that obtains numerical data and seeks answer to how much, what, and how questions. Okay, data collection tool. I use questionnaire as a data collection tool. This survey study consists of three parts. In the first part of the questionnaire, in order to gather general information about the participants, questions were asked about their gender, age, class, university, department, and whether they have a computer of their own and whether they have an internet access. In the second part of the questionnaire, the distance education attitude scale developed by Kışla was used to collect data on the first question. And in the second part of the question, third part of the questionnaire, the Ohio State Sense of Efficacy Scale was used to measure the professional competence of pre-service teachers. And the participants in this study are 42 pre-service English language teachers, who study at the Foreign Language Department at 19 Mayıs University and Trabzon University, including 27 females and 15 males. And data analysis. Data obtained from the questionnaire answered online by the participants were analyzed using the statistical package for the social sciences, I mean SPSS. It was chosen in this study because it is one of the most reliable programs for analyzing quantitative data. Okay, now let's talk about findings. In the first part of the questionnaire, 2 questions were asked about whether the participants had internet access and whether they had a computer, because in my opinion, one of the most disadvantages of e-learning or distance education is accessibility. For example, since I don't have my own computer yet, sometimes I had difficulty while preparing my works. However, according to the results obtained from the research, most of the pre-service teachers have their own computer and internet access. When it comes to the results of the distance education attitude scale, most of the pre-service teachers have negative attitudes towards e-learning or distance education, and they think that many lessons can't be offered through distance education. You can see from this table, most of the pre-service agree this item. They have a common idea that many lessons can't be offered through distance education. And the other result is that pre-service English teachers think that distance education makes people lazy. It is undeniable that today's technology delivers information to people with a single click. For some, this is an innovation that facilitates our lives, but while others think that it's a factor that drives people to laziness. According to the results of the research, most of the pre-service teachers support the second idea. Actually, I think that I got lazy during this process, and I'm sure that we all had days we got bored or we lost our motivations from time to time to attend the classroom. Sometimes I really felt like this panda, and I'm sure this quote will sound familiar to everyone. I hope we get rid of this laziness soon. Okay, this is the data. And the other part of the questionnaire is about professional competence. Half of more than the pre-service teachers think that pre-service teachers' professional competence is at moderate level, not too high or not too low. It's a moderate level. There are many items in the questionnaire. I'm going to talk about some important points there. First of all, let's look at this item. How much can you do motivate students who show low interest in the school? Half of more than the pre-service English teachers are confident in motivating their students in the school. Although it is difficult both in face-to-face education and online education to motivate students, I think that is really important for their professional competence to trust and believe themselves in this regard. And they also think that they believe in developing their students' critical and creative thinking skills. And in the questionnaire with this questionnaire, pre-service English teachers consider themselves less sufficient. How much can you involve families in helping their children do well in school? From my point of view, it can be considered normal because we took the practicum period online, so we do not have the opportunity to interact with the families. So in order to see ourselves adequate in this regard, we need to interact with the families in a real classroom setting. So I think that in the coming years, this problem will be solved as we experience it. Okay, and this is the highest perceptibility level at the point where the pre-service English teachers consider themselves highly sufficient is that to what extent they can provide alternative explanation or example when students are confused. I also think that this is an important skill because as we took the internship online and we do not have the opportunity to teach face to face, we do not any experience. We have not any experience about what kind of problems we will encounter in a real classroom setting. But we also encounter many problems in online practicum period. For instance, sometimes I had hard times deciding what to do at first. Later on, when I encountered any problem, I was able to manage the process well. So I think that is an important competency. This is the descriptive statistic of the professional competence of the teachers. And finally, limitations. As I said before, the study only measured 42 pre-service English teachers' attitudes towards online education and their professional competence. So the generalizability of the results is low due to the small number of participants. And another limitation, this research does not provide detailed information about the reasons of the results. Maybe for the further studies, it can be a suggestion, more detailed research can be done on this subject, on what might be the reasons of these results. So that's all for me. Thank you for your participation. If you have any question, please ask me.
Thank you, Tuğba.
You're welcome.
Okay, so are there any questions or comments?
Can I ask?
Sure, Büşra.
Okay.
Actually, Tuğba, I like your thesis topic. And yes, this online, challenging process affects everyone, involving pre-service teachers. Actually, we don't have any experience in class settings about teaching. Frankly, in my opinion, I feel unlucky to be deprived of face-to-face practicum teaching. So I want to ask, are online practicum teaching experiences useful and sufficient for us? Do we have more disadvantages compared to other pre-service teachers? They have experiences in class setting environments.
Okay, I want to say that yes, it was a difficult process for all of us. For myself, there were times when I lost my motivation because you prepare well, you prepare activities that will attract students' attention. But when you enter the classroom, the Zoom, there are just 7 or 8 students, and just 2 of them are speaking, and that's really hard for me. But when it comes to your question, I do not think that we are not insufficient among the teachers who receive the face-to-face practicum period. When I look at the positive sides, I can say that we have more advantages because we learn lots of things on technology. So this is a positive side, but we can teach in a real classroom. I trust myself, and we should trust ourselves, I think.
I think, we are contemporary candidates.
Yes.
Technology, we live in technology age. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Büşra. Thank you too.
Okay, Tuğba, thanks for the explanation. You are right that you've learned lots of skills, or new skills, even new skills about how to use technology in your classes, because you found yourself in a situation where you had to practice your teaching practicum online. But if you ask me, there are lots of things that you missed the opportunity to practice.
Yes, that's true. But
because think about monitoring, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So when an activity starts, okay, if you were in the regular classroom, you needed to monitor your students, but in online classroom there is no monitoring thing, so you don't know how to monitor your
Yes.
students. So because in some cases or in some instances, you need to monitor your students closely. You even need to sit down with them and you need to practice that thing. You need to solve the exercise together. But in this case, you've never experienced, so you don't know. For me, this is one of the most or first things that you'll have difficulty in doing when you start teaching in a regular classroom.
Yes, that's true. And also,
problems,
I think the second term is more difficult because when I observe, according to my observation, in the first term, the students were more enthusiastic about attending the classroom because this system is new and interesting for them. But when it comes to the second term, the participation dropped drastically, maybe because of they get bored from this situation, or maybe because of they are away from their friends. So the second term is more difficult for me.
Good observation. Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Any other questions about the study? Okay, so you looked at two things. Pre-service teachers' attitudes of distance education or e-learning, as you called in the study. And the other is, if they have developed their professional competencies through these e-learning as students, not teachers, but as teacher candidates, they develop their professional competencies through being educated through online education. So this was the second thing. And okay, for the e-learning, if I'm not mistaken, okay, 56% of them were positive. Was it right? Can we check it? Okay, the findings. Okay, okay. Let me see.
I think that many lessons cannot be offered through distance education.
Okay, so why do you think? Why do you think is it like this?
I think that it is because applied courses are also taken through online education, in particular practicum. So they may negatively affect it. They lost their motivation to teach and to learn. It's because of the applied courses, I think, because we catch the theoretical knowledge from the online learning, but applied courses is a little bit difficult.
So somehow you lost your connection to the courses.
Yes.
Okay, so makes sense. So many lessons can't be offered through distance education. That is important. That's very important. So look, when I hear or when I see these kind of negative findings in your studies, I mean, not only yours, but all your friends' studies, I really question what we did in the faculty. So I'm asking if we were able to, I mean, as faculty teachers, if we were able to teach correctly or effectively. So if we were competent enough to teach online, so we need to ask this. This is also important because please remember what other friends also found. So when you remember what they told you, you feel like, okay, we were not much competent to teach online. So, and this made the students not be, let's say, satisfied of this process, or not to think that they are educated well or quality. So there are these kind of problems, and we need to question what made the students think like this.
Yeah,
even we didn't have any chance to, let's say, teach something online before this era, right?
Have
you ever taught something online before this COVID pandemic? Have you ever taught something online? We didn't.
Yes.
At least I didn't. I have been teaching for 10 years and I didn't have such chance. That's why we were also inexperienced in this online education.
Yes.
But after this year, so our students will see what will happen. Because we are now more competent and more knowledgeable, and we know all pros and cons. So after this year, I think we will focus on this issue a lot more. Yes.
Thank you, Tuğba. You're right, Sevcan Hocam, but this should not be the only excuse. Because look, we are the faculty teachers, and okay, all those students, they were looking at us because we needed to feed them somehow.
Yes.
And we needed to do some things.
We used to, for example, use some tools, Web 2.0 tools. I integrated them many years ago into my courses, but the thing, this synchronous education online and trying to motivate all students at the same time, or let's say letting them to do some hands-on activity by interactive worksheets and all other stuff at the same time was a little bit difficult even for us. That's why pre-service teachers, such as an insufficiency or inexperience, can be well explained, because even most of the teachers and faculty professors in other departments, they had difficulty.
And I'm asking, so why did they have? Because look,
because they have never seen such, they have never been in such context before.
But we need to improve ourselves. This is not an excuse. This shouldn't be.
They had to do it. That's why they did it. If it was not in, let's say, such conditions, most probably they would not have done it. So they would keep on teaching just in face-to-face scenarios, and then they will just leave it out. This technology integration into their classes, I mean.
I also mean, I understand, but I also mean, are we too traditional not to be able to teach online?
We are too traditional in that sense. We don't think we need to teach online, I think. We don't have such perception. We don't have such, I think, idea. But in Europe and in other parts of the world now, they have been teaching online. They had online courses in the past. But for Turkey, I think this is a new era. It was a milestone for all teachers, even in Ministry of Education and in universities, in prep classes and in everywhere. So I think after this year, we will see more applications, more technology integration into classes.
Because we've taken our lessons.
Yes, and we will
should
do
have,
more
actually,
and
even if we didn't.
Yes.
Okay, and also, Tuğba, you said, okay, two things I'd like to ask for clarification. You said, let's clarify this. Okay, I mean, if you meant pre-service teachers thought that when they become teachers, they can motivate their students. Because you also asked about their professional competencies or how they perceive their professional competencies, and they said they are or they're able to, or they can motivate their students. Can you go to the next, not next, but maybe two more slides. Slide number 17, if I remember, or if that's correct.
That
okay,
one?
No. Okay, not this. One more. That's okay, that one. So they think that they can motivate their students who show low interest in school.
Yes.
So when they become teachers, those pre-service teachers you studied with, they think that they're able to motivate their students.
Yes.
And being able to motivate a student is a competency as they regard it, or as you regard it as the researcher.
Yes.
Okay. So
in the questionnaire, it's a competence.
Okay, is it possible to see your questionnaire items?
Okay.
Because in the slides you have a table, but the table doesn't include what the items are exactly. So let's have a look at them. Because these look like questions rather than questionnaire items or scale items. So it's better to see what the items are.
Okay. These are the questions.
We don't see.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe you only shared your PPT, but if you say share screen, so whatever you put on your screen is shared.
Okay.
Let's change it. If you only shared the PPT. Okay.
Now?
That's fine. So let me see what the items are. They're not items actually, they are questions. And you presented question by question in this case.
Yes.
Okay, but we do not.
I want to show some important points: the highest, the low, and the high.
Okay, so were they Likert? Were they Likert type of questions?
Yes.
Okay.
I think
so can you show us the Likert?
Or no? These are.
Okay. So let me see. Nothing, very little.
Some influence, quite a bit, a great deal.
Okay, but there were questions and there was a Likert for the questions. How much can you do to get through the most difficult students? But look, Tuğba, what if you've taken means rather than presenting question by question? Wouldn't it make more sense? Because look, you are looking at, or you looked at teachers' beliefs, and if you ask me, you should have presented means, I mean, mean value for the teacher's beliefs of everything rather than question by question, or rather than looking at single questions. So how many questions do you have? Okay, 24.
24.
So if you ask me, presenting question by question doesn't make sense at all, because it's a Likert. Okay, rather than items, it includes questions. Okay, that's fine, but it's better to find the means.
I found the means.
So where are they?
Okay. Can you see?
Not yet. Please say share screen rather than a single document.
Okay. Now?
Okay, we see.
Actually, I said that at a moderate level, all of them, some of them is close to the agree. This is the mean of the items.
A single. What I mean is scale item. Look, teachers' beliefs. Okay, that's fine, but this is incomplete. You needed to do one more test. You needed to look at scale mean. So look, because when we look at these things, we see item means. So it's
total score. You mean total?
That's
mean.
right. That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So you needed to run one more test to see what the average teacher's beliefs are. So we need one more mean for teacher's belief. It's like, it's like you'll put all these together and you'll divide them to 24 to find an average mean.
Okay, I will add it.
Okay, please, because otherwise, look, okay, item by item, it doesn't tell anything about average teacher's beliefs. So we, okay, if you ask me, I cannot say, okay, what the teacher's average beliefs were. So you need one more score. Please do it.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, so looking at these single means, so which is the highest? Which means the students agree with that thing? Or we'll look at the Likert one more. So which is the highest? So they're all 3 something. So no 4s, no 5s. And the highest is, which one is it? Okay, 3.90, right?
Yes.
Okay, so can you go back to the questions again? It's item 20.
Okay.
It's the highest mean. So it says, to what extent can you provide?
This one, to what extent can provide alternate explanation, or when students are confused.
So can you show us the Likert once more?
Okay.
Go up a little bit. No, Likert. The Likert.
This one?
Not this one. Stay at that document on your thesis. So what the Likert is? Okay. So go up a little bit. Okay. Stay here. So a great deal 5, quite a bit 4. Some influence is 3.
Yes.
Influence. So
it's a moderate level. I said that because nearly all of them it's some influence.
Okay, so but it's not high, it's moderate.
No, just this item is the highest.
Okay, okay.
The general is at moderate level. In general.
Average of the 24 items, you said moderate.
Moderate level.
So this means you calculated the scale mean as well.
Yes, but I
didn't report.
Yes.
Okay, so please do it later. Thank you. Makes sense, makes sense. So are there any other questions or comments?
Okay.
I guess there are. Someone said. Okay, I don't know. Okay, I'll check, no problem. Thank you, Tuğba. I guess there
You're
are no
welcome.
questions.